This Monero Matteo video is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Safely store, send, receive, and trade your Monero on Cake Wallet on Android and iOS. Good afternoon, Monero Matteo. Welcome back. So we're talking about the news again. I know I've been wanting to get more philosophical with you guys and talk about maybe some different cryptocurrencies. Crypto Monk came out and he wanted to talk about Firo a little bit. Have you guys heard about Firo? Let me know if you have, but Firo just got added to TradeOgre, which is pretty interesting. And this sounds like they're doing interesting things over there. So I wanted to check that out. I wanted to talk about game theory a little bit, how that relates actually to Bitcoin and Monero. So many subjects to discuss, but we got to keep talking about the news, man, because we got to really do what we can to get this intel and information out there. I'm glad that you guys are sharing these links. I'm glad that you guys are like snipping this stuff up into little segments to send to people, because I know these are long videos and I don't have time to snip this stuff up in little digestible bite-sized pieces for people to download. But yeah, we got to get some Bitcoin bros to awaken to some of the problems with their blockchain. Seriously, the Bitcoin Cash bros to some degree are waking up. And people from other cryptocurrencies are waking up too, and more movements into Monero are happening. I'm seeing it, but it's not happening fast enough. And frankly, we're running out of time. One of you had made a comment on a previous video of ours saying that, yeah, we have a small window here to really get a parallel economy going. It's like we're trying to rev up a lawnmower, and if it doesn't start by the time like it starts to rain acid on it or whatever terrible thing befalls it, then it's just not going to work. You know what I mean? Or it's just going to be that much more difficult. And so we have like this window of freedom right now, which we're really going to appreciate at some point, because it's only going to get more difficult from here, where we can set up parallel economies pretty easily, which is why I'm doing the Monero Marketing Monday thing. Go check us out on Mondays. Maybe I'll start to do that as a live stream, because I know I'm doing that every Monday. What do you guys think about live streaming? I think our last one was pretty fun. But yeah, we need to get this thing up and going. And Seth for Privacy talks about this a lot, and other Bitcoin bros also talk about this a lot. It's very important. But obviously you want to start the parallel economy with Monero, because it's actual money, it can't be tracked and traced, and in this new, parallel or technocratic, panopticonical control grid that they're building up, you're not going to want to have traceable currency, period, the end. But yes, it seems like we're kind of like passing the event horizon here as far as just things going on and things accelerating. And we need to continue to reach out to the Bitcoin bros. And frankly, I've also been thinking about just concentrating more on the tech side of Monero to just talk more about how it is we can make it stronger, because the whole thing with the 50% attack thing, that spooked some people out. And it unfortunately spooked them out at the wrong time, you know what I mean? And so maybe we could talk about things to address that and to publicize and just raise awareness about different things that can make that better. Because if we use the P2P pool, that make a lot of things better. Because even if that gets over 50%, it's peer-to-peer, and no one person can take over the pool and like do whatever nefarious thing they're trying to do with it. You know what I mean? And so developments need to be had. Most of the smart dudes who are like wicked smart, way more than I am, are taking care of a lot of that stuff, which is why I typically don't talk about it. This stuff is like me trying to bring like a populist type of vibe to just the crypto space in regards to Monero. Because Monero right now, like the culture is like a bunch of like super hyper mega geniuses with like dark hoods and sunglasses at their computers just like doing smart stuff. Like that's what Monero, the culture is, other than, the Jose Sanchez is on the dark web, selling, bicycles stolen from grandma, you know what I mean? And so like, why would a grandma ride a bicycle? I don't know, maybe it's a tricycle, or quadricycle. But yeah, it's crazy. We need to, I think, increase the cultural relevance of this stuff. What do you guys think? Just some thoughts, but yes, let's just get to the news. Let me stop rambling here. It looks like the crackdown's going on in the United States. This is no surprise. Again, we've seen this coming. This is not a surprise, which is why we have the positions that we do. But, with every news story which has come out over the last 2 weeks, we've seen an increasing fear be expressed on the behalf of the Bitcoin bros, because they're like, hey, I hand waved away the whole privacy thing and the fungibility thing and a lot of these other problems, but like now I'm starting to actually think, like, is this actually going to be okay? It's like have you ever done like a school presentation and you kind of like procrastinate to the end, and it's just like, yeah, it'll be fine. I got the night before, and coffee is a great thing. And then you get up the next day and you realize you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're just like stage frightened, and you're just shell shocked, and you're like that's, I think, what's going to happen to the Bitcoin bros when the crackdown really starts to happen in earnest, and then they're going to run behind the curtain, which is Monero, where you don't have to have stage fright. You can just be, doing your own thing. And so I see that coming more so, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. Unfortunately, a lot of the Bitcoin bros are going to get caught in the crossfire, and they're going to wet their pants on stage. But this is just what's coming. FBI launches new crypto crimes unit. Now, there have already been developments going on with the government in regards to crypto. We've seen OFAC mining pools. We've seen crypto task force come to the fore. There's been more crypto regulatory initiatives. We talked about the whole broker thing a few months back. So, yeah, this stuff has been a development happening, but this is a rather significant development. Let's read more about it. The National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team will investigate ransomware and other crimes with tools including blockchain analysis. So they're going to use CipherTrace, they're going to use chain analysis, and all of our other buddies in the data analytical sphere. Interestingly, most of them funded by MasterCard, the Digital Currency Group, etc. They're all one big fan. The FBI is launching a new team to investigate crimes involving crypto. The NCET, you're going to hear more about that. That's going to be like the new FBI. They're going to be TV shows. The NCET. Oh, they're so sexy. Oh my gosh, they just caught this Monero bro, like surfing through the tunnels and getting people's things. I don't know. Announced by Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco on Thursday. Will evaluate which types of crimes involving crypto might need more resources to investigate and prosecute these cases. The team will be headed by longtime prosecutor Yun Yoing Choi. Oh, goodness. Is this still... Monaco announced the new unit I'm going to behave myself, during a keynote address at the Munich Cybersecurity Conference, saying the unit will conduct its own blockchain analysis and seeking of assets involved with crimes. So they're just going to be cracking down more on this stuff. It's no surprise. I think we are sending a message that cryptocurrencies and virtual currencies should not be considered a safe haven, Monaco said in a question and answer session following the keynote. So that's actually kind of interesting, because from a trader's perspective, I actually see Bitcoin a little bit as a safe haven. Like, if you're a trader, bro, and there starts to be volatility in the market, you're going to go to Bitcoin, because that's going to have generally less volatility than the other cryptos. Now, this chart here is putting me to shame why I say that, because I guess Bitcoin's down 7%, Ethereum 6%, and Ripple 5%. But yeah, that's interesting they say that. And remember when the Bitfinex hackers got caught, they had said, yeah, Bitcoin and these other cryptocurrencies, I want everybody to know, I think it was actually this lady, that crypto is no safe place for criminals. And as we see in Canada, the definition of criminal is becoming ever more vague, right? Which means it's not a safe place for anyone. That's what they're telling you. So we're going to see more of that. The team will focus on crypto exchanges, mixers, tumblers, and other types of digital asset infrastructure providers that might allow for the quote-unquote criminal misuse of cryptocurrencies. And we have more to talk about that in this video. Mixers and tumblers. Everyone should have been expecting for a long time that there is going to be a crackdown on these tools. But we're just seeing more evidence that's going to be the case. It's going, like, we've seen so many examples of people who have used mixers and tumblers, right? And what happens? Well, either they take that Bitcoin out of a mixer and tumbler and they put it onto exchange and their exchange account gets shut down, or they get that Bitcoin from somebody else who used a mixer and tumbler. They got it maybe through peer-to-peer, and then they go on exchange. Or maybe they put their Bitcoin up for collateral, and then it gets shut down from there. So this stuff taints stuff. Like, these shouldn't be called mixers or tumblers. They should be called tainters, because that's, as the data blockchain forensics intelligence grows to be more nimble and sophisticated, that's what they're going to be, because they're going to be able to see you using these tools, which is going to taint all your Bitcoin, right? It's like throwing your clothes into a washer machine, except the washer is washing your clothes with mud. Like, that's what these are. So moving on. Other types of digital infrastructure providers, yeah, we talked about that. Ransomware will also be a key focus. Am I still recording? According to Monaco, who said law enforcement officials have to bust the business model for launching these types of attacks. So, yeah, they're just going to use Monero. It's no big deal. The NCET will enhance the criminal division's existing efforts to provide support and training to federal, state, and local international law enforcement to build capacity to aggressively investigate and prosecute serious crimes involving cryptocurrency and digital assets in the United States around the world. The Department of Justice launched its own crypto enforcement team at the end of 2021, composed of anti-money laundering and cybercrime experts. So they call that the Crypto Task Force, I believe. I had something pulled up on this. It's a joint task force that combines the SEC and the CFTC. So, yeah, the whole government's just kind of like consolidating in an effort to crack down on this stuff. At the time, Monaco said cryptocurrency exchanges want to be the banks of the future. Well, we need to make sure that folks can have confidence when they're using these systems. And we need to be poised to root out abuse and fraud, I'm sure, which is the excuse for every kind of KYC, right? So, yeah, there's that. Let's move on to another story. See if there's any new intel here. We could go on, but the general message is, they're going to be cracking down more on this. They're going to be, and by the way, they're using the Bitfinex thing as a pretext to expand the government's oversight, as we told you, right? And looking at, let me just pull this up now that it's on my mind. So this is from Forbes, and we'll talk more about the details of this, but we were just talking about mixers. So check this out. This is just how this stuff works, guys. With various mixers playing a prominent role in the recent Bitfinex theft complaint and in the Bitcoin Fog mixer complaint. Bitcoin Fog. I love that name, dude. How do you find the fog? Both of which were investigated by the IRS CI. The IRS is clearly targeting the providers of these services. So whenever somebody is caught using Bitcoin mixers, or maybe they were using, like the Bitfinex bros, Bitcoin ATMs to try to cash out their Bitcoin, you can expect more regulatory oversight over those channels of Bitcoin movement. Does that make sense? And so we talked about Bitcoin ATMs and other crypto ATMs that are going to be collecting your biomedical data, which is something we're seeing back in the news because it sounds like the CDC had sent a lot of that data, which was collected by the PCR test, namely your genetic data, overseas to labs to do research and study, I'm sure, innocent things, right? They're probably making like human cyborgs with that stuff, clones, who knows? But your genetics are going to play into this too. Remember, this is why we're so ahead of the curve. It's because we know it's not just about money. It's not just about them wanting to control your finances. It's them wanting to control you. It's them wanting to control your soul. It goes so much deeper than just finance. And so if you know that, if you know what their end goal is, then you know all the different ways, or at least you can contemplate all the different ways that they're going to try to trap you in. And they're going to try to take away your freedom and your liberty, which is why none of this is a surprise to us. I mean, this is just part of the program. So we'll talk about this in a sec because this is something which hasn't been reported on much at all. Not that you would expect people to, because it's about taxes, which is kind of boring, but we'll get to that. Let's see if there's anything else we should discuss here. Yeah, they're talking about the Colonial Pipeline system. And I guess that was that event was a pretext to the creation of the Justice Department's crypto task force. So with every crypto event involving a hack, there's going to be a corresponding expansion in the government's capacity to regulate this stuff or their initiatives to do so. And so maybe they just do a bunch of false flags with this stuff. Think about it. I mean, maybe they have an end goal as to how much they want to regulate this stuff, how much KYC they want to enforce on the public. And so they just, finagle their own crises. They do it all the time. Just like that FBI bro who had set up somebody else and paid him with Monero, and then used that story to make Monero look bad. I forgot what the story was. We made a video on that months ago. But yeah, they create problems all the time, and then they fix the problems. They're like, oh, aren't we such great problem solvers? I mean, that's the government in a nutshell, basically. But moving on, let's talk about this, and this is going to require me to exercise a few more brain cells because there's a lot of info here, and I want to sort of get this down into a few words. But this is talking about an opportunity that they're giving to crypto bros to come forth and say, okay, I've not been paying my taxes like I should. And I want you to provide me an opportunity before you audit me, before you come after me, to pay those taxes. Okay, I didn't know maybe I was supposed to pay these taxes, or maybe I knew but I just didn't want to, and I see that your data intelligence capabilities are getting rather good. Look, I haven't paid my taxes. Give me the opportunity to do so. That's the process of voluntary disclosure. And you can maybe get some grace from the IRS, as hard as that is to believe, and you can maybe work your way with the IRS into some kind of mutualistic settlement with them. So let's read more about this so that you understand that. And I think this is going to be something more on the minds of crypto people who haven't paid their taxes because either they didn't know about the tax law, or B, they ignored it thinking that their crypto is private. But with the expansion of the data intelligence gathering capacities on blockchain of the government, I think more people are going to be sweating, and more people are going to be like, what's the statute of fraud for limitations again? Am I past the curve? No, because it's forever, and the blockchain's forever. And so I think more people are going to be taking a look at this. And given that they're making this initiative, if you do not do this, they may say, hey, we had this in place for people like you to come forward. And once you're audited, as we'll get to in the article, once they have you under scrutiny, well, then at that point, they can just say, yeah, this is fraud. Maybe they have criminal penalties for you at that point. So moving on, taxpayers file this form, the 14457, to make a pre-clearance request for the IRS to determine their eligibility to use voluntary disclosures practice, a set of procedures by which they may avoid criminal prosecution for willful violation of tax laws by full and timely disclosure to IRS criminal investigations. Voluntary disclosure also requires approved taxpayers to cooperate in determining their correct tax liability and to make good faith arrangements with the IRS to pay their full tax liabilities plus any interest and applicable penalties. So this does not guarantee immunity from criminal prosecution, but it can result in the IRS not recommending it. How much can you trust the IRS when it comes to that? I don't know, but we did read how if they passed that Build Back Better bill, they would have had $80 billion to their disclosure to use over the next 10 years, which is a lot of money. Who knows? Maybe that's going to become in the next bill that they pass, the next big one. But they were going to really expand, they probably are anyway, their blockchain forensics capacities. And so I'm telling you, they're going to start swooping crypto bros up like you have no idea for not paying taxes. Like you have no idea. I think that's coming. And this is, I think, a sign that that is coming. But let's read more about that. A disclosure must be made before, keyword, the IRS has begun a civil examination or criminal investigation and before it has learned of tax non-compliance from a third party or acquired specific information through a search warrant, grand jury, subpoena, or similar source. Now remember, guys, we had just talked yesterday about how a judge had come out and said they do not need a warrant to look at your transactions that you make on the public blockchain. It's considered a public source of information that anyone can look at and anyone can glean. So you lose all right to financial privacy in a court of law if you use public blockchain cryptos. Period. The end. That's what they determined. There's a precedent now for that. And so the IRS no longer needs that either. They don't need to warrant your bank account. They can just look on the blockchain. And so that's something to consider. The revised form 14457, like the previous version, includes, we don't need to go into all that. So this is the Journal of Accountancy. They go into a lot of details in regards to developments, in regards to accounting, blah. But check this out. This is funny. And we're going to talk more about this. Taxpayers are instructed to list and provide details about all domestic and foreign non-compliant, quote-unquote, virtual currency they owned, controlled, or a beneficial owner of, either directly or indirectly, through an entity or other intermediary during the disclosure period covered by the form. The IRS defines a non-compliant virtual currency for this purpose as an asset that should have been reported on a federal income tax return or other required federal information return but was not reported. Dude, that's literally every asset, crypto-wise, that you have, that you've transacted for in receiving. Does that make sense? Like, a lot of people, they think of cryptocurrency as currency. Oh, it's like money. It just goes back and forth. There's no tax consequences. Like, no, that's completely wrong. At least it is here in the United States. It's a capital asset. And if you receive Bitcoin or crypto for goods and services, you're receiving property for goods and services. And you got to report that. Well, one, you got to report it as income, but you got to keep track of your basis. And if you sell that asset to somebody else, or maybe you just use it as quote-unquote money for another purchase later down the line, then you got to record your gain or loss on that. And if you're using Bitcoin and crypto all the time for goods and service payments, well, I mean, you may not be keeping track of all this stuff, in which case you have non-compliant virtual currencies in your wallet. And that is something to note. Who knows if they change the tax law soon. That is one, I think, good thing about the legalization going on in some parts of the world, is that it makes taxes so much simpler. But there are other regulations and KYC stuff that goes along with that. Back to this, pay attention to this. If taxpayers used a mixer or tumbler in connection with a virtual currency or any transaction involving it, it must identify the mixer or tumbler and explain why they used it. Could you imagine? You got to explain why you used a mixer or tumbler. Oh, hey, IRS, I'm like on Tumblr, man, and I just wanted to make a fun meme. I'm tumbling my Bitcoin. It's on Tumblr. No. That'd probably be the best excuse you can get away with by otherwise saying, yeah, I'm trying to launder my money, or I'm trying to like obfuscate it and get it off the grid, right? What are you going to say? I mean, I guess you could say I'm tumbling my coins because I don't want advertisers to see, the coins that I have, or I don't want to. Maybe you could come up with different excuses as to why you use this stuff. You just value privacy, you're a private person, blah, blah, blah. But they want you to explain why you used it. A tumbler or mixer is a service offered to allow crypto asset holders to mix them with other funds in a way that can obscure the crypto asset's origin. And that's going to be made illegal, I'm pretty sure, at some point. Which is why the Bitcoin Cash Pro that we talked about a week ago moved over to Monero. He saw this coming. So this has some interesting takes as well. This is a Forbes article. And they had said down here, I just skimmed through it. There are a couple things that I found of interest, but a lot of the stuff is just going to go over most people's heads because it's like tax stuff and it's kind of boring. But I want to go down here and read this to you guys. Well, we already read that. Maybe there's nothing else to... Let's just read this because this is interesting. The new IRS voluntary disclosure form substantially increased the volume of information that tax cheats will have to provide about their cryptocurrency holdings up front if they want absolution from the taxman or if they want to be forgiven by the taxman. Not only are taxpayers required to list non-compliant cryptocurrency assets, but are required to disclose whether they used mixers or tumblers and explain why such devices, which obfuscate the origin of the funds, were used. An illegal source of income does not qualify for the voluntary disclosure process. Professionals will have to be very careful in evaluating whether the mixer or tumbler was employed to disguise a legal source income. Check this out too. Of particular concern to some practitioners and their clients may be the requirement to specifically tell the IRS where all the cryptocurrency is located and the identifying information regarding that currency. The IRS has updated the form to include more specific focus on virtual currency. And so, from what I read, you've got to disclose what wallets you have this stuff in, what exchanges you got it off of. Let me see if I can find that, because that was kind of a shock to me. Well, not really, but I found that interesting. Well, maybe not. Maybe I can't find it here. It is somewhere. Was it over here? Let's see. Okay, well, I can't find it. Whatever. All right, we'll move on. So let's go to more blockchain news, bro. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we talked about OFAC. Turns out hedge fund manager Kyle Bass is red-pilled on OFAC, so that's something to note. Just a quick flash of that tweet. He says, it's very important how the integration of China's yuan happens or doesn't. It's also vital that the private crypto crowd deeply understands OFAC and our economic weapons we can use and will use against our enemies. How these systems work and what they accomplish is germane. Yeah, key question, of course, is who are our enemies, right? So that's something I want to point out, because all this stuff going on in Canada is making that ever more unclear and opaque. So check this out. This is something that came out today from Trudeau's Justice Minister. He says if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating, you ought to be worried. He said this. So check it out. This is what he says.
Compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks say, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
Look, you've just compared.
So, dude, that guy's like a total freaking NAZI, bro. Literally, he's saying if you're part of a pro-Trump movement or you're part of like this political movement that I don't agree with, which is antagonist to our government and our politics, you should be worried about our capacities to freeze bank accounts and to do other things that they've done, blacklist Bitcoin addresses and taint Bitcoins and everything like this. So this ties in, guys. And by the way, let's read some of the comments because some of them were key. He first comment is he threatening Americans? Now, Canada and our government, they have a pretty tight relationship. It could be they work together in order to make this stuff happen. And these banks, by the way, are pretty much international. So who knows if this goes cross-border. But he asks, is he threatening Americans? Two feathers. Justin Whaley says, clearly they are trying to create a bank run. Why would any responsible government wish to create that environment? And somebody posts the image we talked about yesterday of like outages at a lot of banks. And we've heard a lot of stories of people who are having trouble getting their money. They're saying, oh, we'll give you some of it tomorrow, and then maybe the day after when we have more money. They actually are ordering physical cash because they don't have enough at their bank to keep up with the withdrawals. So I do want to comment on this. Clearly they are trying to create a bank run. Okay, if that's what they're trying to do, this could be the moment that we see the rollout of the CBDC or at least what could happen. And guys, I'm not too worried about bank runs anymore. Ever since 2008, that's become less of an issue to me because we've been moving towards a cashless society anyway. And so maybe this is the pretext to really bootstrap our way closer to that. Because there was a bank run basically in 2008. And what happened? Well, the central banks just printed a bunch of money and gave it to the banks for like 0% interest. So you taking money out of the banks is not going to be a problem for them. Maybe they just say, hey, sorry, we don't have cash. Then what are you going to do? They're not, like, are they going to be legally required to get you cash? I don't know. You take money out of the bank, like, who cares? They'll just get more money from the Fed. These are systemically important banks. They're too big to fail. Didn't you get that lesson 12 years ago? But, and I'm not trying to be patronizing to people who are wanting to, fight the system or whatever. I totally understand. But every single crisis they're going to use to your advantage. All you can do is opt out, man. And I think that's what some of these people are doing. They're getting their cash out of the bank. Maybe they're going to other cryptos and things like this. But and maybe, honestly, some of my just scouring pessimism is coming out in regards to how powerful these people are and, how much of a number they could really do. But, yeah, I don't think bank runs are too big of a problem. And if there is a crisis as a result of a bank run, I'm telling you they're prepared for it. And it's part of a plan that they have. Seriously, I think they've wargamed every situation out as to what could happen next 10 years. But check this out. Canada here is close to the development and rollout. Well, they're in development right now. They're close to the rollout of their CBDC. Same thing with other countries. Russia, you'll notice. Whoa, this is updated since the last time we talked about this. Whoa, okay. Things are moving fast, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so Ukraine was not green last time we looked at this. Russia was not green either. They just legalized Bitcoin. Whoa, dude. Sweden, they were already pretty far along, but we noted how Sweden was trying to ban proof of work in Europe. So kind of a weird difference of approach there. They're trying to get rid of the proof of work coins and the competition. Russia, meanwhile, is taking it into its fold to try to control it. But yeah, Russia's closer now than ever, too. They're in the pilot program, which is the stage that China's in right now at their digital yuan. Wow. So we're getting closer, guys. And that's why you're going to see ever more activity here. But yeah, Canada, I imagine, is probably about to go into pilot. Or they're just going to freaking launch the thing. They're going to say, whatever, we're just going to ban cash or something. I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Where were we here? Yeah, we made this comment yesterday. I talked about this news story which came out last August. Okay? And if you looked at this and you actually said, holy crap, this is where things are going, I got to prepare and buy cryptos that can't be blacklisted, because we had noted that, yeah, they have a history of blacklisting Bitcoin and Litecoin and other addresses associated with terrorist activity. You would have said, I got to get into Monero. And just as there's going to be a flood of money coming out of the banking system in Canada because people are worried about having their accounts frozen, dude, when they really start to crack down on Bitcoin addresses and they really start to blacklist and taint many Bitcoins that people have, because contrary to the Bitcoin bro perspective, like 90% of the people who use this stuff have no idea how to use it privately. They're going to be like, whoa, what's the privacy solution here? Is there another crypto which is more private? What are privacy coins? I thought this was a private. And then they're going to flood into Monero. That's my theory. I hope that happens. But I think we still need some more time for that. And we need to continue just to keep up the pressure. We need to share those links. We need to continue to confront the Bitcoin bros. Like, we need to have people on Twitter, and we need to have people on Gab. We need to have people everywhere. Whenever a Bitcoin bro is like, hey, read my guide on Bitcoin, like, just use Monero, dude. Like, oh, there's another great tweet. Hold on, let me pull this up. there was a Monero bro who maybe was just born recently. He was born out of the Bitcoin sludge and became a true Monero bro. Ragnar. He says, playtime is over. Do your best to self-custody. CoinJoin. Use Paynims. Acquired on KYC coins. Store your seed phrase backups intelligently and practice good general online privacy and security practices. In the last sentence, 4 words, ladies and gentlemen. 4. Also, start using Monero. That's all you had to say. Like, you could have made the tweet 4 words. That's all. And yeah, online privacy, security practices. I could do a little work on that. Some of you have commented, bro, you use Windows. How do we take you seriously when it comes to privacy? Dude, I'm a tech idiot. That's why I used Monero in the first place. Don't you understand? Now, if you guys could direct me towards something which is better than Windows, because obviously Windows does slow up my computer. I look at the task manager. There are all these freaking tasks up for Windows. I have no idea what they are, and it's taking up like half my power. So if you guys have like something better that's more private, works better, let me know. And let me know how to set it up, because I would have no idea. But yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? That's pretty crazy. So we're just going to see more crackdowns, ladies and gents. It's just part of the move. Let's check on our trade ogre. You guys down? You guys down to check trade ogre? R is at the top of the list. Man, Pirate Chain's always at the top, bro. $1.26. Looks like it's trading in a little bit of a range. We had a movement recently. What's going on with Dero? Dero's been moving its way back up recently too. They're supposed to be out on the main net this month, which is pretty exciting. That's pretty cool. And then Monero, let's check on our lovely Monero. What's going on? Moving down a little bit, but still trading in a range. I think Monero's been trading in a range as far as dollars are concerned for like the last 2 years. But no biggies. We know where things are going, right? So that's it. And Haven, I guess we could check on that too. How are the Haven Mavens doing? Yeah, it's still around $2. Freaking puked from up here. Holy moly, did it puke. 45,000 sats to about 10% of that. 4,800 sats or 5,200. Yeah. So risky stuff, volatile stuff. We've talked about Haven a little bit too. Go check out those vids. That's it. Those are just some of the updates. I think I'm going to take a day off tomorrow. I'm going to take a day off. Maybe do some boxing, get my head bashed in a little bit. For whatever reason. Clearly, I need it. So, that's it. Monero Matteo. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts, comments, concerns. I think we answered the 51% attack concerns recently. There wasn't really too much of a concern. It was handled. But use the P2P pool, guys. You guys got to use those pools. The miners got to get on that. That's really important just to give more confidence to the decentralized nature of the Monero ecosystem. And I have more of you reaching out to me, starting Monero businesses and other things like that. That's very, very exciting. So thanks for doing that. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. And check out the donation address below if you want to help support the channel. Thank you to the patrons, Ronan, Lutz, Josh, and Ken. Yes, thank you. I have 4. I don't need to write them down. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can. We know they're one of the enemy forces, but we're behind enemy lines. Thankfully, we can get some support from them. And then check out the social media stuff. Gab, Odyssey especially. Very cool. So that's it. Monero Matteo. You guys have a wonderful night. God bless.